right, here we go.
April 16th.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to me and Oli not really knowing what we're talking about. April 16th. Observe cause and effect. Okay. Observe cause and effect. Let's see what he means by this. Marcus Aurelius says, pay close attention in conversation to what is being said and to what follows from any action. In the action, immediately look for the target in words. Listen closely to what's being signaled. Pay close attention in conversation to what is being said. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And to what follows from any action. I think what follows from any action makes it sound...
Like a result of something.
The result, yeah, the consequence of something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So paying attention to what's being said and pay attention to the consequence or the result of actions that anyone takes. Then he says in the action, so in the behavior and like what people are doing, immediately look for the target in words. Listen closely to what's being signaled. I'm sorry, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
I don't understand immediately look for the target. What is the target?
The only way I can think about this is like listening the meaning beyond words, or listening for the emotion in the words. Like, so...
Oh, I see. Okay, I get the sentence structure now. He's saying, in the action, do this. In words, like when somebody's talking to you, do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, so what you're saying is, in the words, listen closely to what's being signaled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As in, this whatever's behind the words is often different than what the words are communicating, yeah, because everybody, I also do this, right? Like, so I have like certain vocabulary that I use to express something that I want or need, but the listener might have similar, they understand the words, but how are they understanding those words and the connection of how I'm connecting those words? Yeah.
The way I'm putting sentences together might be just a little bit different. And then all of a sudden, 95% is great. But the 5% is just like, wait, what? Right? So...
Well, right, because the words are coming from someplace inside of you. And so then the listener understands it by referencing the words back to something inside of the listener. Like the listener is comparing the words to their own experience, and then they're like, I know what you're talking about, but is that space that I'm connecting it to the same space from which the words came in your system?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, in my life, over the course of a day, usually not. Like, usually it's not an exact match.
Unlike a philosophical perspective, yes, they are coming from the understanding of those words, and where those words are coming from philosophically is from the same place. But as humans, we don't have access to that. So we have access to what the other person is saying. So we have to just interpret based on our understanding of what this other person is saying. So, yeah.
Okay, so I get that in words, listen closely to what's being signaled.
Yeah.
And then he's saying in action, immediately look for the target.
Immediately look for
So the target, you mean like where the action was directed towards?
or where that could be one. Yeah,
Like,
this is vague, right? So the way I'm seeing it also is like where is it coming from? Like emotion, or like somebody might say something, right? And they're like, you're hearing the words, but then they're saying something behind it, the not liking it, right? Or something, or like being mad about it or sad about it or some, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and I'm connecting that to the words part, like of what people are saying.
Yes.
And so then there's this, that he's like juxtaposing these two things. He's doing words and action. And so with the action, he's saying immediately look for the target.
Or maybe the target of where the action item could be in there, you know? How, like,
well, when he's saying action, he's like just behavior in the world. Like when you notice a behavior, somebody taking an action, even your own action, he's telling you how to pay attention to that. So he's saying with words,
when you take action,
or when other people take action and you're just observing it, you see an action being taken, and now you need to interpret that action in some way. So he's saying, pay close attention to what follows from any action. That's what you and I were talking about
results,
like the results, consequence
of the action. Yeah.
Impact is another interesting word that
or
goes there.
Or also output,
sure,
as well of the
action. So pay attention to what the action creates, and this is true if I'm looking at an action that I'm taking or that someone else in the world is taking. And then is this just a different way of phrasing this, or is he saying something different when he says, in the action, immediately look for the target? So is the target another word for the results, the output? Or is the target actually the thing that the person was aiming at, that maybe the results are not what the person was aiming at? The person had a target in mind. They were trying to hit a bullseye. They didn't hit a bullseye. They hit somewhere else. And so when I'm looking at an action, am I supposed to look at both the results and the target, like where they were intending to hit? Is that what this is? This wisdom is trying to point.
I like that. I mean, I don't know if that's what it's saying, but I like that. I like that there are these like it's the difference between the intended outcome versus the actual outcome. And so like and then you can kind of investigate in there, like, well, why was it
X and Y
and why not?
And not X and X? Like, why didn't they match?
Yeah. So there's some data to like look over there, and like you can learn something from it. So I like that. But does he really mean that? I think so. Like, I can't think of any other way that would make sense. But anyway, that's good. Do you want to read Ryan and see how what's up? How is he interpreting this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's see if he took the same thing from it. Through the work of the psychologist Albert Ellis, Stoicism has reached millions of people through what's known as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. As a form of therapy, CBT helps patients identify destructive patterns in their thoughts and behavior so they can, over time, direct and influence them in a more positive direction. Of course, Marcus Aurelius had no formal training in psychology, but his words here are as important as any doctor's. He's asking you to become an observer of your own thoughts and the actions those thoughts provoke. Interesting. Where do they come from? What biases do they contain? Are they constructive or destructive? Do they cause you to make mistakes or engage in behavior you later regret? Look for patterns. Find where cause meets effect. Only when this is done can negative behavior patterns be broken. Only then can real life improvements be made. That's interesting because Ryan is taking from this like that Marcus is just talking to himself about himself, which I know is how he used his journals. But as I'm reading Marcus's thing again, it's not immediately obvious to me that this is something that is just for himself. Like to me, like this is like a more powerful quote in terms of like how I listen to words, period, not just words that I speak, but like words that other people say. Yeah, he say pay close attention in conversation to what is being said. That to me means like I'm listening to somebody else. And to what follows from any action. That could be their action or my action. And then he's saying in the action look for this and in the words look for that.
That's interesting. Also, like when you speak, like there's first you listening to someone, right? And then that does usually, there's this tendency to have an action from it, like, you know, and it's like watch those actions of like how they, like there's something about that it's kind of like oh wow, like yeah, watch what comes out of the action that you want to act upon based on what you just heard, or something like that. I don't know, but that's kind of a hitting home there for me.
Yeah, what's interesting about this for me is like Ryan's whole thing doesn't necessarily seem to me to be totally connected to the quote. Like Ryan seems to be talking about something different because he's talking about things at a thought level too. He's like, watch, because today is observe cause and effect. So it's like Marcus isn't talking about things at a thought level at this point. He's talking about things at a speech level and a behavior level, words and actions. And so I do see the cause and effect. Yeah, I definitely do see that. And now I'm thinking that what we were talking about earlier is even more relevant, which is when you're looking at actions to look at both what was intended and what the outcome was. Because now you have a clearer picture of cause and effect.
Yeah. And then with these thoughts, you say like, well, like it's not like I'm listening to someone else. And I also see it like, yes, you're listening to someone else, but then there's also internal interpretation of what you're hearing. And those are your internal thoughts. And so that's how I can connect it to Ryan's understanding of, or like how he sees it. Like, oh, it is kind of thought related because ultimately all the actions are a result of some sort of a thought and some sort of an internal, like, yeah, I want to go do this. And now I'm doing that action, right? Like there was this thought process and some sort of like a verification. That's really what I want to do. And then all of that made sense. And that's why you were into the action itself or something. So he's saying maybe to himself, like listen to people, the Marcus, right? Like listen to not just the words, but the meaning and then kind of the emotions behind the words. And then also see how based on these conversations, there's some actions arising, and where are they coming from? Are they being checked for make sure that they are the right actions or something in there? I don't know, but yeah, kind of vague a little bit today, but also interesting, even though a little like hard to maybe conceptualize the whole thing, but
yeah, today's a tricky one to really like feel. I don't feel confident that I've really absorbed whatever today was trying to gift me. There's some things here I
definitely got something out of it. Sure.
I got something. Was it what was intended?
Well, I got a big confirmation that listening is like when I'm saying like, well, I'm listening to you. Well, what am I understanding under the word I'm listening? well, someone just says, well, I'm hearing the words, and then I might be thinking about something else, right? Or like there's a different definition of what is the process of listening, and this there's like a confirmation in there, like, yeah, listening is not just the words, but also what do they mean, and oh, they feel like this when they're saying it, like this is pissing them off, or this is making them sad, or this is making them excited. Oh wow, like this is something they're excitement could be like, oh, this is something that interests them, right? So they're like listening to not only those words, but also those other things that are coming through that whole expression of talking.
It's sort of
There's
like
other
the
things
the internal texture that those words are aiming to describe or share, communicate in some way. Like the words are never exactly, they're never precise.
Never.
They can't be precise. Yeah, they're trying to describe a different medium, like the whole internal experience.
That's kind of funny. That's a little bit out on a tangent, but like the idea of like even when we're trying to describe something, and we might say we have described this same thing over and over and over many times with same or similar words. There could be some, you know what I mean? Like there is other things in there hidden in that description of it. Like that's like really, I don't know. There's something about that I found like really cool about it. Like, anyway.
Do you mean like a teacher or something would be like repeating the same concept multiple times to a student? Is that what you're kind of pointing at?
That could be, and then the meaning of it is means different things every time you hear it or something. Like there's like a forward movement there, but I kind of went onto.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that there is something about that. Like the best teachers in my life teach, their core concepts. They have like less than 10 core concepts, and they're just rephrasing, repackaging them continually over and over again. And I grab onto different parts of it depending on the flavor in which they are presenting it right now, but also the internal texture that I have coming to this particular conversation or podcast or whatever the case may be. So yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's wrap it up.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let us know what you got out of this. What kind of coolness did you get?